It's time to explore the world according to Glenn. I'm Kevin Jacobsen. Glenn Close is my favorite actress, and this show is all about exploring the career of one of the finest actors of her generation. Each episode, I'll be joined by a guest as we dive into one of Glenn's movies, TV shows, or stage productions, going chronologically through her career, discussing her performance, and assessing the project itself. And today, we're talking Glenn's appearances in the TV movies Brush with Fate and Strip Search.
Time nominee Glenn Close, motherfuckers.
My guest today is a fan favorite who you have heard talking with me about The Natural, writer at his blog Ice Cream for Freaks, among other sites, member of the Dallas-Fort Worth Film Critics Association and the International Film Society Critics, self-professed straight white guy in a good way. Welcome back, Ben Miller.
You just can't you can't let us straights have a happy day. You have to let us take the bottom drugs of what you got from Glenn Close. It's like it's like, you know what? It's like we're not all bad. It's okay. It's like not a few bad apples ruining it for the excuse me. A few good apples spoiling it for the rest of the bad apples, but whatever. But here we are. We're back again, and I don't know, excited is the right word, but it's the fact that you thought of me. You're like, well, there needs to be somebody in the world who will watch anything. I'm the Mikey with Life cereal of film.
Wow, Mikey, he likes
essentially.
It. I love it.
Yes. So
wow.
Yes.
Well, you're definitely coming into this with the right attitude, clearly.
Yes,
I can tell you're so excited.
But, well, you know, as a writer yourself, you know, the worst type of film to write about is a middling film. A 3.0, a 3 point, the 2.5, 3.0. Those movies are hard to write about, hard to find something to grasp onto.
Yep.
It's really fun, really fun to write about a movie you love and you're really passionate about. But it is really fun to dog on a movie you don't like.
Or better than that, two movies you don't like.
Two movies you don't like, yes. Embarrassment of riches.
We love a good double feature. That is, a lot to unpack here. So very excited to have you here. Listen, we did The Natural, which, we had a few flaws with. We had a few quibbles. By comparison, though, The Natural is like a film institution compared to what we're talking about today.
Sight and sound 100.
Yes.
All day long compared to what we have to deal with. Yes.
Yes. Well, all right, Ben, before we talk Glenn in these, let's just say forgotten TV movies, have to ask my opening question. And as a returning guest, you have told me your relationship with Glenn Close in the past. Now we're going to look to the future a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to put on your casting director hat here and tell me if you had the power to cast her in a future film. What's the genre? What's the vibe? And what kind of role are you looking to cast her in?
I thought long and hard about this because, obviously in the midst of the Oscars, you kind of try to transpose her into the different roles that are managed that are nominated this year. And obviously like an Aunt Gladys type role in Weapons is the obvious answer.
Sure.
But you kind of see what she's doing in the next Hunger Games movie and you're like, okay, that's kind of Aunt Gladys coded.
Right.
Like
or even The Deliverance recently.
Yes, exactly. It's like, this looks, I'm on board with that kind of weird. But on the flip side of it, I thought the same thing. But what if you had a gender swap sentimental value and had her in the Stellan Skarsgård role?
Wow.
And I was like, ooh, like a prickly mom who like has been like shunning her kids, her boys her whole life. And it's essentially the mama's boy version of that film. and putting her in a very complex art-centric role, like I was like, man, that sounds awesome. I would love to see her in something like that. Something where I think she does best where she gets to be prickly, where she is not a like a saint. I
Mhm.
think that the complexity of her as an actress really shines through whenever she gets to be a turd on film, essentially. And
Yeah.
I would love for her to have the opportunity to do something like that. You can kind of tell by what she is doing that those roles probably aren't coming her way,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying it's not the case. But I would love to see her in something that challenges her to be kind of harken back to the, dangerous liaisons types of like, okay, you are not the nice person of this film.
Wow. This is one of the best answers I've gotten to date for this question. Well done. I would love this so much. I'm definitely thinking of Autumn Sonata as well for this.
Yes, yes,
Ingrid Bergman,
yes.
you know?
Bergman's, yeah, absolutely. Like something where like a chamber piece and you just get
Yes.
to kind of scream back and forth or like up and ebbs and flows.
Yep.
And yeah, absolutely. Like you try to think, and then your mind starts going to, okay, who's her foil of a daughter or sister or something along those lines? Like, okay, can she be in like interiors, like the Geraldine Page of that? And like,
Yeah.
yeah, you really get your blood flowing when you start to think of those terms.
Yeah. I mean, you've got me excited. So
Good, good.
this is great. I love this. We need to be putting all of that energy out into the universe.
Yes.
This is her ticket. Even if it's not her ticket of Oscar. I mean, like that would
Yeah,
be such an
yeah.
incredible role for her. Absolutely.
Yes.
And like you said,
Yes.
she really excels in those kind of prickly, not looking to be liked by the audience kind of roles. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. Well, as we take this good energy, we will now transfer over to let's flash back to the early 2000s, shall we? And
Let's.
talk about her continued work in television. We're starting first with the TV movie Brush with Fate. So, returning to the world of Hallmark Hall of Fame, this is to date her final Hallmark movie after doing the Sarah Plain and Tall trilogy and this movie from 1988 called Stones for Ibarra that I cannot find anywhere, that has been scrubbed from the internet apparently. But yeah, Brush with Fate is an adaptation of a novel by Susan Vreeland called Girl in Hyacinth Blue, written in 1999. And it's all about a painting by the artist Johann Vermeer, which is sold and passed down through various generations over multiple centuries. So for this movie adaptation, the title was changed to Brush with Fate, which not as
Inspired?
no, not exactly the most evocative title compared to Girl in Hyacinth Blue, but
Yep.
regardless,
Yep.
Hallmark got attached with Brent Shields directing, and the title wasn't the only thing that changed. So the book is about an eccentric male teacher who shows a teacher coworker this painting, but the movie changed it to a female teacher, played by Glenn. And the movie begins with Glenn as Cornelia Engelbrecht, a history teacher who shows the new art teacher, Richard, played by Thomas Gibson, this painting she has hanging in her house with her elderly father. So she tells him the full history of the painting, about how Vermeer painted it using his daughter as a model, and that was bought at an auction by a rich family, and then a servant girl working for the family responded very favorably to the painting, and also she got involved with a rich man, and long story short, it led to them getting rid of the painting, and on it went until Cornelia got her hands on it. But Cornelia saves the darkest story for last when she describes how her father came into possession of it. Also, by the way, all of that is told in reverse chronological order for reasons maybe we'll discuss. I don't know. I couldn't figure out why. But Ben, let's get into it. Brush with Fate. I'm going to guess this is a first time watch for you.
You are correct.
Yes.
Yes. First time watch.
What did you think of this, and what did you think of Glenn here?
I hearken back to our discussion on your podcast, and the runner-up is because we talked about 21 grams. And when we discussed 21 grams, we thought, why were they doing it like this?
Yes.
Like it's like they didn't have to do what they did in the jumping around chronologically. And they didn't have to do that with this movie. Like this is
Yeah.
I don't know why you experiment with how they did this. Like you could just go like Vermeer painted it like this, and then on and on and on and down the line, and with some sort of structure to it. Instead, it's like okay, we go here, but then we go here, and we go here, back forth, back forth. It's like well, after a while, I was partially confused
Hmm.
and at the same time perplexed by what was happening. It was a combination of why are they doing this and who is this for? And the answer is apparently who's to say? And Glenn being you think she's on the poster, she's got the glasses, all that kind of stuff, and you're
Yep.
like, she's going to be head first into this thing, and she's probably in the total of 15 of the 90-minute runtime.
Hmm.
And when she's in it, she is making a choice, I guess. Like,
Yep. We'll talk
uh,
about it.
I, I, I'll give her that. She's making a choice, but
Yep.
this is it's a Lifetime movie that is that looks like a Lifetime movie. At the same time, I kept going, "Wow, that looked expensive. Wow, that was set up nicely." It's like,
Yeah.
"Wow, why is that's a lot of effort put into what this is." Like it was very strange dichotomy of this is nobody cares, but why doesn't this look cheap? It's
Mm.
very odd.
Yeah. I've had all of those same thoughts watching this movie, trying to make sense of it in my mind. This was a tough one for me. I did not care for it at the end of the day. Honestly, I think a lot of these films, I don't know if you feel the same way, but these kind of like vignette films that are loosely connected by one or two things, maybe telling these little short stories about the passage of time, I'm kind of losing my patience with these. Like,
Yeah.
there's something that there's almost like a little too precious about them, a little too cute in the way they explore how like we're all connected from generation to generation by the same things or similar problems. Recently, I'm thinking of something like Here, the Robert Zemeckis
Mm.
movie,
Oh,
is an
I'm
example of
sure.
this. You know,
Oh, yeah.
some of the Dan Fogelman movies, something like Collateral Beauty. Like, I just rarely get anything out of these kinds of stories for
I
me.
kept watching it, remembering a much better movie than this, The Red Violin, which is
Oh,
a
mm-hmm.
well-made version of that,
Oh,
where it's essentially instead of the painting, it's an ancient violin made by this incredible violin maker, and where this violin's life goes. But it's also kind of like an erotic drama mystery a little bit, and all Samuel Jackson's there. It's
mm,
just it's much more high class and much more connected and makes sense and why this violin is important.
right.
This outside of the word Vermeer, nothing matters nothing is actually made important in this movie. Like everybody everybody has hindsight no matter what age they're in. It's like, oh, Vermeer, he used to make these paintings, and it's like, no, you don't understand. Da-da-da-da. It's like you're in the middle of the Irish potato famine or whatever thing is going on here, or it's not even Irish, it's Dutch or wherever it is.
Yeah,
There's like
it's all in the Netherlands.
it's
Yeah,
on the Netherlands. Yeah. So
yeah,
this, at one point, this lady, essentially, this family is like, well, we have to have money in order to survive, and we're taking on another mouth to feed.
right.
Oh, so we got to sell this painting. And she lies to keep the painting, and it almost sinks them into financial ruin. And she's like, but you don't understand. It was like, no, no, no. There's no justification for this. Like this, I don't care how beautiful this thing is. You're talking about life or death here. Like, and it's like you said, it's so self-serious. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't blink. It doesn't blink on the self-seriousness. It's just like, nope, this is what it is, and this is important. Why is it important? Because it's important.
Yes,
It's very
because of
much
art.
because of art, and that art is never backed up,
Yeah,
and it's it's just baffling choice after baffling choice.
yeah.
I did like Kelly Macdonald.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she did very nicely in it.
Yeah.
Unf Maybe that's why I thought it was the Irish potato famine, because Kelly Macdonald is the most Irish person ever,
Yes.
and I just assumed she was going to be Irish. So yeah, and there's just not really much to cling on to what Ellen Burstyn's doing there.
Yeah.
Like
Wasted.
it's
Totally wasted.
Wasted.
Yep.
A lot of fun wigs. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's trying very hard to squeeze meaning out of these connected stories, but there is little to no subtlety here. Everyone is speaking as if they're underlining the themes of the story. The music, I think, is very obtrusive, honestly. And I think this is probably a lot more effective on the page in a novel than it is here. Because, like, I can sort of see the ideas of this, how, like, there is this power that we put in art that can, for some people, be very inspirational. It can be healing. It can get you through hard times and speak to you. But then it can also be harmful or be loaded with meaning that is thorny or difficult, and that can sort of change over time for different people. And there's a lot that you can do with that. I just don't think this adaptation, at least, really does that. I think, some of the actors, Kelly MacDonald is putting in good work. Some of the stories, like hers, I think does feel the most fleshed out. But I really found myself losing interest over time. Like, I just don't think there's even enough of a hook here to really, like, propel it forward, frankly.
It's very, very long 90 minutes.
Yes.
It's a long
You
90.
feel the
Like
90. Yeah.
you feel every moment. And, I'm watching it on Tubi. And every
Yep,
time I
me
get to a
too.
commercial, every time I get to commercial, I'm like, sweet. It's just like, it's like
Sweet
give me
relief.
thank you, a relief from this. It's like you said, there are morsels of like the Kelly MacDonald storyline with the. I thought about even writing like the joke reviews. Like, you know what? If stealing a Vermeer painting gets Kelly MacDonald's tongue in my ear, I think that's worth the trade off or whatever.
Oh my
But
God.
like
Yeah, fair.
it's hard to make fun of. Like it's not campy. It's not fun. It's not
Yeah.
fun to enjoy. There's nothing to. I try to think of the competing storylines. I'm just like, man, the Vermeer thing. Like whenever it gets to the actual Vermeer, and then it's with the unexplained like brother-in-law who like kicks the crap out of his pregnant wife, and then
Yes.
that just kind of goes away,
Why is
and
that
there's like
there?
it's like, why is that there? And I'm like going on Wikipedia, and it's like, is this a thing that he
Right.
had? And I don't know. And like, why Ellen Burstyn was there for the moment? Why is Thomas Gibson a thing? Why is Patrick Bergen showing up? It's when you see the opening scroll of the people on this of who's in this movie, you're like, okay, here we go.
High
And
class
then
production here, you know?
high class production, and then absolutely zero of these people show up outside of Kelly MacDonald for longer than 5 minutes. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
and then nobody's ever prepared for surprise Nazis, and
Sure.
and
Yeah.
not only surprise Nazis, but we actually deserve to be like we're the good guys, guys. Like, okay, that's some choices.
Eh,
Like,
yeah. It's complicated. We'll say that. How they choose to wrap this up. For Glenn, okay, so here's the thing.
I
This is
really
a
loved your review of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
This is a Glenn Close podcast. It doesn't feel right to be all that critical of Glenn, and I really haven't been up to this point. This, for me, is an example of how sometimes our favorite actors are not perfect. They do not have perfect careers, all A+ performances. Sometimes, even when they have the best of intentions, it just doesn't really work out, either because of their energy or the character, the direction, writing. It can be a lot of different things. I am being honest when I say I don't think this is a successful Glenn performance.
What way to make a stand.
Yes, I think she is overdoing it. I think she is over cranking the Dutch accent or whatever accent she's trying to do, and the quirky mannerisms she's got going on. And I feel like I can just see the acting here in a way that is usually she is much better able to conceal for the audience. Because we know Glenn loves to go big in certain roles, and like 9 times out of 10, she is right in the pocket and just like so fun to watch. This, I don't think she is in the pocket. I don't think she's even all that well cast here, to be honest. And so it's tough. It's a tough performance for me.
I harken back a lot to Jack Nicholson in The Departed in
Mm,
sometimes there are actors who are such a force that even really experienced directors cannot really get a grasp on these people and can't direct them to the performance that they need to deliver.
Yeah.
And I think Nicholson in Departed is the best example. You can tell he wants to do the things he wants to do, and Scorsese, as much as Scorsese has, can't wrangle him in.
Yeah.
And through that entirety of that movie. And I think especially with a director like this, not to besmirch the guy. I mean, he was able to make this film. So it's not like Brent Shields is his name, by the way. But like I think whenever you get Glenn Close and she comes in with ideas and you are a television director, you're not about to say, "No, let's not do that, Glenn." Like Glenn says, "I'm going to do this. I have these choices. I have this, and that." And you go, "Yes, ma'am." And it's hard to wrangle that. And I think that's most likely what happened here.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, I appreciate Glenn's trying. Like there are other examples, maybe one we're about to talk about in a little bit, where she probably just walked in off the street and necessarily like is not fully invested in this. It's like she is trying to do something with this.
Yeah.
It is in no way effective, but it is an attempt. It's like I have a look, I have a persona, I am trying to make something connect. I'm not sure what that was, but I do appreciate the attempt at like kind of trying to elevate whatever this art is,
Yeah.
and her effort into a silly television movie is commendable in that.
Yeah. She's certainly making choices. I think
Yes.
for me, it's that none of the work that she is putting in really factors into the rest of the film. So she's kind of doing a lot of things for reasons that are kind of unclear to me. Like the thing where she's
Yeah.
kind of looking so closely at these paintings in that other teacher's classroom, or like the contorting she's doing with her face. I just don't really know if all of that is needed to accomplish what she's trying to accomplish, or if she just acted as more herself, more comfortable, natural Glenn. I feel like we still kind of would have gotten the story, and it wouldn't have been as distracting if she
Yeah.
didn't put on all those hats, as it were.
Yeah. And I kept thinking, it was like, did she borrow from Stephen Root from Office Space?
Wow.
Is that
Yeah.
or I was also trying to sync up when did Emma Thompson enter the Harry Potter universe? And
Yeah.
when did those two coincide? It's like, are those contemporaries? Do they know each other? They probably do, like that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just a lot of choices. Essentially, she's neurodivergent, but she's
Yeah.
also like way too measured.
Hmm.
And it's yeah, this is a early 2000s were a strange time where you could just kind of pick and choose things to add into a character without actually having to coalesce them into reality.
Yeah.
You could just, they have a little quirk. Why do they have this quirk? They just do because it's interesting on TV. It's
Hmm.
like, well, quirks don't work that way. It's like, well, they will in this. Like, okay, well, it's the dipping into the toolbox and picking out very specific tools, but doesn't mean those tools are supposed to go together.
Yes, very well said. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I was reading this article from the Los Angeles Times around this time that she really got into this character. It says she, quote, she contacted an ophthalmologist about eye conditions that would lead to someone having to wear these types of glasses.
Okay.
And she says in that article, too, I thought how wonderful that she has this kind of love for this painting, which she has a great difficulty in actually seeing. And through her obsession with research, she has acerbated her eyesight, and it also made her more isolated, I think. And I understand, I get where she's coming from when she says that. I just don't think that idea is really even communicated all that much in the writing or the directing, maybe kind of in the performance, but like that idea is not explored at all in the film.
Yeah, and even theme like there are certain films that don't have any thematic resonance at all. And this didn't feel like a this you're just telling a story essentially. This is the flip book of
Yeah.
a film. where
Hmm.
it's this is what's happening here. We go to the next page. This is what's happening here. We go to the next page. This is what's happening here. Why did you not understand this page? Oh, because of this. But thematically, there's nothing going on. Like there's nothing like, oh, this is all about legacy and da 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 and all this kind of and poverty or the struggle of artists or nothing like that. It just never tries to connect any of that.
Mm.
And even the end justification of Glenn has, and it's the final scene, the quote unquote final scene where I was like, she's not going to do this. And it's like as she decides, spoiler alert, guys, if y'all really want to seek this out, she thinks about burning the painting.
Yeah.
And as soon as she gets the painting to the fireplace, I'm like, there's no way in the world that is ever going to happen.
Right.
And as soon as she pulled back, I'm like, come on. Like, what are we like? There's a chance to make a choice. It's like, well, that wasn't going to be the choice. And it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very basic, straightforward film that even like when your grandma saw it in the middle of the day, it was like, that was okay. Like, so I find it less offensive than other stuff. It's just really boring and doesn't really connect. Doesn't have a whole lot of merit to it.
Here's my question. What did you think of the painting? Do you think it was worth all that trouble?
I am not
Sorry,
about to
that's a
say that
loaded
I
question.
no. It certainly was not for the. It's like whenever the lady wouldn't sell it for the seeding potatoes, I was like, okay, I don't care about this painting anymore. It's like no, sell it for the seeding potatoes. And I also don't have any grasp of how expensive a guilder is or whatever the
Right.
like. Oh, 24 guilders, is that a lot? It's like I don't know. It's like and
No.
it's like I don't have any perspective of
Right.
of Dutch currency, so I can't say it's like, oh, that was man, you could feed whatever, do this, the whatever. And I was thinking, man, that would be if I had a little bit of, exposition, God forbid, that maybe that would understand that bit. But I only got a good glimpse of it right after it was painted in the film.
Right.
Whenever the girl is standing there and then it shifts towards it, I'm like, oh, that's nice with the light and all that kind of stuff. It was like, but it's like in the end, I'm like, it's just a painting. Like
Mm.
I did not see it as like some revelatory thing for
Right.
to go to all this effort and trouble for.
Yes. There's something about it that's trying to evoke a kind of like Mona Lisa, like what is this girl looking out the window kind of symbolizing, and like, all of these
Yeah.
characters relate to the idea of her longing for something that they don't have or whatever. So, I think it's a nice painting. I can see why people respond to it. It is very calming as well. Just the color palette is nice and cool colors and everything.
Yeah.
But at the same
It's
time, by the end, it just does kind of feel like this is a lot of trouble over a painting.
yes. Yes. And
So it's
even
tough.
like I got a nice chuckle. The only time I could actually find some humor in something was whenever they were at the auction and the girl in the painting kept correcting the auctioneer, and the auctioneer just took her at face value. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's called this. It's a Vermeer. Apparently, the girl in the thing is this. It's like, okay, who would start the bidding? And I was like, is that all it takes to get like this is
That's all
just
it took in
trust
those days, you know?
some lady in a maid's dress in the back who just kept saying these things. So I guess that's true. So
Hmm.
pretty goofy.
Just to very briefly touch on some of these other stories, did you respond at all to the story of the older man, this sea merchant, who is like in the 1880s, and how this painting is hanging, but it kind of like symbolizes his past love for a younger woman that he was with many, many years ago? It reminded me a little bit of like 45 years, just this
Oh,
storyline.
yeah,
um, So
and
it had potential.
there's a like you said, there's an inkling of that, something
Yeah.
like that, and the wife being mad about it, and at the same
Yes.
time, he's like, oh, can you come back? And that idea is really interesting. Like you
Hmm.
said, 45 years is probably the best example.
Yeah.
Recently in the film Eternity, another great example
Mm.
of like what kind of narrative potential there is in that story, but it starts it. Why that kicks off the narrative, I'll never know. Like
Yeah.
that's the one when you were describing it, I'm like, which one was that? It's like, oh, it was right off the beginning. It's
Right.
like, okay, yeah. So why they go like if you were to put them in order of the actual if one is the newest and five or four is the oldest, I think it goes like three, four, or 2, 4, 3, 1, and it doesn't make
Yeah.
any reasoning for why this chronology is there. That one's okay,
Yeah.
and
It's fine.
we talked like the Kelly McDonald one is obviously the one that's the most
Yeah.
interesting, and it's still even the parts of that I was interested in. I'm like, well, why is the baby dead? What's going on there with the milk? It's like it was just all kind of glossed over just to get to the narrative point of the baby's dead, so she killed her baby, so she has to hang. Like, okay,
Hmm.
and then I got another chuckle. I had whenever she's about to be hung and the guy is holding the baby in a lightning storm, by the way, over his head up on a balcony.
Yeah.
I had Michael Jackson thoughts like dangling babies over, and I was
Wow.
thinking, well, yeah, and it's like you're really high up there and it's a lightning storm. Aren't you worried about this? And it's
Mm.
like, okay, well, a lot going on there. Like, and then smash cut to the potato farmers never touched me. Like I was like, I don't know, I barely remember anything. I think that woman is in Bruges.
Mm.
She's the pregnant hotel manager.
Okay.
So I was like, why does she look so familiar? I think she was the pregnant hotel manager from In Bruges, and that's why I was like, there's something about her. She's in there somewhere. I was like,
Hmm.
okay. And the Jewish family with the doves or the pigeons or whatever,
Yes.
it went
Carrier pigeons.
absolutely very strange. And I was like, okay, we knew Nazis were coming. We can't not have Nazis in a
Hmm.
story about history. So, I mean, was there anything that out of any of those other stories that you just like remembered or even had
Uh,
any resonance to? Because I barely do.
for me, it was just the Kelly McDonald storyline that I felt like if there's any story here that could have just been stretched out to just its own story, its own movie, I think I mean, to speak to your point, like they seem to put a lot more effort into that story compared to any of the others, not just in terms of the sort of thematic weight of it, but just the like the rainstorms and just it felt more cinematic
Well, yeah,
watching it.
like a levee broke
Yeah.
and a huge water comes up, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's the guy who saves the male in this story is also like the hangman or something. I don't know. It's
No.
that was all a little dicey. You could very much tell this was directed by a man. This
Sure.
was
Yeah.
as I was watching this, I was like, boy, there was like not even a female. It's not even a lack of a female gaze. It was just like there's just no characterization for like she's just witch. Why is Kelly McDonald witchy? Because she's witchy. Like that's just why she is the way she is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so very very tonally off and just remarkably unmemorable. Like even for bad, it's going to be difficult for me to remember that I watched this.
Wow. Well, I think to get to the sort of meat of what we've been sort of teasing a little bit with this Nazi storyline that we get at the
Yes,
end.
let's do it.
Yeah, let's get right into it, right? Uh, so this whole time, Glenn is completely off screen for like 70% of the movie. And as it went on, I was just like, okay, well, I was like, well, I'm not getting my money's worth here for wanting a Glenn performance because she's only been in the beginning. And she vaguely narrates the rest of it, which, by the way, not to don't go on another tangent here, but like, how does she know all this?
It's funny, yeah,
Is this
because at
fan
one point,
fiction?
yeah, she's talking about the well, there's got to be records for all this. This is right in the first moments of the movie. Thomas Gibson's like, there's got to be records for all this, and she pulls volume after volume after volume of all these impressive records. And then as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I don't think there's a record of this.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a record of this either. It's like
Hmm.
so, yeah. It's like you said,
Yeah.
it's
Feels like she's extrapolating some of
a
this,
little bit,
to
a
be
little bit.
honest.
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, by the end, we get to Thomas Gibson being like a little confused about the gap from that first story she presented in reverse chronological order to how she ended up with it. And she's like very, very tense as she's finally opening up about how she came into possession of this. And we go to Amsterdam now, and it's, yeah, under German occupation. This Jewish family owns carrier pigeons, which was against the law. and how this young girl in the family was attached to this painting, of course, that her family was proudly displaying. So anyway, she sadly has to kill all the pigeons to protect her family. But sadly, the Nazis do target the house anyway, and we get the reveal that Cornelia's father was the Nazi who stole the painting from this Jewish family and also killed this young boy in the family and shipped the rest of them to concentration camps. So Cornelia is kind of living with the guilt in a way of having this painting that was stolen by her Nazi father from a Jewish family, but she can't get rid of it because it's family. And that's kind of her internal struggle, which,
Yeah.
I mean, thoughts as this was playing out?
As she yells, "We would have happily died for this painting." I'm like, you are Nazis. Like, what is like that doesn't track. Like, all of it doesn't. It's too preposterous to make sense of. Like, it's a good idea on paper. That I guarantee on paper they went, "Oh, this is going to be a great reveal." And then once the slightest bit of scrutiny is held to it, you're like, "That's preposterous." Like, come on. And her devotion and commitment to yelling that this was the right thing, we did the right thing. Like, I stand by my decision.
You
like,
have no right to judge us.
You have no right to
all
judge
this stuff.
Like, I think I kind of do, but
Yeah.
what I mean, whenever it's like, well, yeah, you're a Nazi, and it's like, but you don't understand. It's like the painting. It's like, Nazi lady, like it's just that's all that's all I just keep saying. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, it's just not. And then that entire thing leading into the, oh, I'm about to burn this painting. No, it's too beautiful. I'm like, make up your mind. You said you would die for it, and you're about to burn it for nothing. And your Nazi father is sitting over there drooling on himself. No longer a threat to anybody. There's no justice to be had. There's no like Hays Code morality that's going to swoop in. He's just going to be there, and she's going to be there. And then they pack up. Apparently, the entire house is like 3 bags worth, and then they're off in the car. I mean, I was like, okay. And the credits roll. There's not even a resolution. It's just, it's a real wet fart of an ending. Just like,
this kind of peters out. And I feel like we get this shot of the empty house. The painting is gone. I feel like we sort of get this ambiguous feeling of like, maybe the cycle is broken. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the thematic conclusion here is.
Yeah.
Again, I think it is fascinating on paper, the idea of like objects that are holding this power. You could say the safety of objects. Shout out to a recent episode. Having this power and symbolizing like this time in someone's life and having that beauty and helping people through all these wonderful things. But also just as easily how that could all kind of curdle into something sort of like a nightmare or like a curse. I just think it's all better served on the page than it is here.
It would have also helped if we had any other Cornelia besides the Glenn Close version. Like, show what it means as a child, what she as a child had to be around this. Like, I have a Nazi father who's trying to escape that shadow, but because of the painting, I care about that and the obsession with that. Like, there are more, like you said, the thing about this, there's so much morsel of interesting that never gets touched on what could be. It's all just like there are little bits that could be like, even for Lifetime movies, could be interesting.
Hallmark
or Hallmark. Excuse me. I keep saying Lifetime. I mean Hallmark Hall of Fame, but it's one of those things where it's not supposed to be the highest of high art, but you could at least try to connect a little better than how they did.
Yeah.
And all the crafts people, we said, like, oh, it's actually shot okay. And there's some interesting productions, not bad, and this, all that kind of stuff. It's like they seem to put some cash into this. There's not, the talent involved was not up to the task.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's crazy just looking at the cast, and I have nothing to say about Ellen Burstyn. Like, what is she doing? She's just playing a rich lady who has like maybe one decent scene with her nephew as they discuss like oh, what are you going to do about this situation? You were in an affair with the servant girl, and now you have a baby and a painting. But like,
Yeah,
it feels
yeah,
completely
and
wasted. Yeah,
wait, so this is yeah, Sisterhood time. A little after that.
yeah. Well, around the same
So
time. Yeah.
okay, so I'm just trying to like, maybe she went through a long period of like not really doing much of anything. And
Mm-hmm.
then this was kind of in the middle of like, okay, I'm not really doing much. Like she was,
It's post Requiem for a Dream, so
yeah. So
you
I
would
guess
think she would
she's
have some heat to do a little more,
you
but
you
she's
would
also an aging
think
actress in Hollywood, so it's
this is true, but I mean, even for somebody like Ellen Burstyn, who has kind of a Glenn Close attitude of it, of like, I'm gonna bring it when I'm gonna
yep.
make some choices when I make choices. She doesn't make any choices.
Yeah.
She just is kind of there. Like if it was any other random actress, it'd be interesting. Like put Maria Margolis in this. What happens there?
Oh
Like
my
it's like,
god.
yeah, I mean,
I would love
different.
that.
I would love it too. I was thinking that as like, boy, there's like there'd be something going on there. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Ellen Burstyn just doesn't do anything with it, and a very
Yeah.
confounding film.
Mm-hmm. It just, yeah, and it feels like a lot was cut out when I watch these
Yeah,
storylines. And it
yeah,
feels like none of them was ultimately served by the shortness of these stories, which
yeah,
is, again, my problem with a lot of these kinds of movies, but
yeah.
especially here.
We're
Any,
we're all connected.
yeah,
It's
I guess so. I guess so. We're all connected by Glenn Close. That's the thing that connects us all on this show.
yes,
So
indeed,
here we
indeed.
are. Um,
Yes.
Anything else on Brush with Fate before we move on?
It did harken me back to a time whenever Thomas Gibson had some heat. I was like,
Yes.
oh, remember? It was like, man, this is probably right after Dharma and Greg,
Mm-hmm.
pre-Criminal Minds. Before we found out he apparently is in Monster, but
Yeah.
as happens to be with most people. But I mean,
Yeah.
just having him show up is just like, okay,
This
Thomas
is
Gibson, cool. That's a thing.
yeah, a real snapshot in time
It really is.
where
Yes.
Thomas Gibson is one of our leads. Ish.
And then even the Patrick Bergen, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
boy, he is just never not going to be the husband from Sleeping with the Enemy. He's just always going to be that guy, and keeps the mustache anywhere he goes. Good for
Yep.
him. So yeah,
Yeah. What a note to end on.
what a note.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, let's move on to 2004 to talk Glenn's TV movie Strip Search. All right. Strap in, folks. This is going to be a fun one.
Oh boy.
Yes. Directed by Sidney Lumet. This was his last of many TV movies and one of his final films overall. And this is a movie that is directly speaking to then very topical concerns about terrorism and torture in the wake of 9/11. Oddly enough, I barely found any other behind-the-scenes information about this in my research. I don't know if it's just been scrubbed from the internet or it's just not something that was covered all that much, but did a lot of searching and only came up with like a few articles about it. So, yeah, couldn't find concrete information on even on what inspired Sidney Lumet to do this, but we can maybe surmise that just based on the director he was since 12 Angry Men, that he was just very fascinated by these kind of small scale potboiler types of films and topical films, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, Network, Verdict, Running on Empty, the list goes on and on, with these kind of like social dramas and thrillers that kind of speak to what's going on right now, and what was going on in the early 2000s in America was the war on terror and the targeting of Muslim Americans and torture and paranoia, and then also a growing mistrust of our government and authorities, with people asking questions of whether there were ulterior motives when we went to war with Iraq and Afghanistan, and whether our own troops were going too far, and the racism and the prejudice. It was all kind of boiling over. And I would imagine, still just guessing here, that is what's inspired Sidney Lumet to channel a lot of those feelings to make something that addressed this. So teamed up with Tom Fontana, the creator and showrunner of Oz, which was a big, groundbreaking HBO show at that time. So Strip Search apparently originally was a 2-hour film that Lumet screened at a festival, but it was subsequently cut down to 86 minutes for European countries and then cut down again for the US release on HBO to just 56 minutes. So the length of an episode of an HBO drama series basically is this movie. And it tells two parallel stories. One is set in the People's Republic of China, where a young white American woman, Linda, played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, is detained by the police and questioned by her interrogator, Liu Sung Yuan, played by Ken Leung, about whether she's involved in a terrorist plot against the Chinese government. But as we see, he doesn't really have much evidence and no criminal acts have happened, but because of her association with certain people, she is interrogated. And we have a parallel story set in New York City, where a young Arab man named Sharif bin Said, played by Bruno Lastra, is taken and interrogated for his supposed activities with a terrorist group. He, too, is only tangentially involved with that group, so they don't have much to go on. And Sharif is interrogated by Karen Moore, played by Glenn, tough as nails FBI agent. And so we see the interrogators in both storylines increasingly use force and cross the line to the point of having their suspects strip searched, which is depicted in quite humiliating fashion. And also, the film basically draws a straight line between the two storylines, suggesting that America is not all that different from China in how it targets the opposition and such. So, yes, Ben, like I said, only 56 minutes, but we've got quite a bit to talk about here. Tell me your thoughts on Strip Search and on Glenn's performance.
Well, I think it's difficult for people who did not live through it, especially people our age, who, like, we have a very clear remembrance of how collectively insane we went post 9/11.
Yep.
Like, it was just like, you know what? Islamophobia? Fine. It's like racism, nobody bats an eye. It's like, that's just a thing that just happened. Rah-rah patriotism, all the paranoia of it. It's really hard to grasp how nuts we all were. And when you're that nuts as a country, your reaction is to create art to respond to that. And a lot of times there's a lot of very positive art that comes out of it. I don't personally like Green Day, but a lot of people like American Idiot, which is a direct response to the war on terror and Bush and all that kind of stuff. And you can see how that positively in the inverse kind of is like, oh man, look at what that can create. On the flip side, you make like this and expect everybody to be like, ooh, look how important. And it's so awful.
Oh boy. Yeah.
When I was talking about how Glenn was overpowering the director of Brush with Fate, I also look at this like, Tom Fontana, I'm not sure who he knew who Sidney Lumet was. Because this feels much more Tom Fontana than it does Sidney Lumet. Like, as somebody who has seen every moment of Oz, feels very Oz coded. It's like, okay, we have some morsels of ideas. Mostly we're trying to be provocative. And that's kind of where we're supposed to go. At the same time, the mirror dialogue was driving me up the wall. I was like, it doesn't have to be this way. And whenever they'd say a line, like whenever Ken Leong would say something to Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I was like, how are they going to say that on the flip side? And they say it, and I'm like, that is like, it's supposed to be a laugh line? Like, it's
Right.
it draws these parallels, and it draws them just to say, oh, look, guys, it's crazy, right? Really makes you like my review of it was like, where's the title card that says really makes you think, huh? Like, it's like, what think about what? Like, I think that things are, it's not like now where we can kind of look and go, man, things are just rough and things are, it was to be anti kind of war. It took a while for that to be the prevailing thought in the country. Everybody was so rah-rah in the reverse, the reaction to 9/11, that war was incredibly popular whenever it started. And then Abu Ghraib comes out, and these other things start happening, and that really it turns the table on things. But this is kind of before we got to that point, and I don't know if people were ready for this to be the case. And when this is presented, like you said, I was waiting for some like big controversy about this movie or a bevy of awards, and there's just nothing.
Nothing.
It just kind of is a thing that happened.
Yeah.
And whenever you told me about it, I looked it up and I'm like, Maggie Gyllenhaal, like early Maggie Gyllenhaal, like just post. This is like one of the few, probably the first few things she booked post Secretary.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And then you see what it is, and you're like, oh, this is Tom Fontana. Like this is what he does, and he does it. And Lumet is one of my favorite directors ever.
Yeah.
With like, it's hard to like a guy who can bring you Dog Day Afternoon and Running on Empty as kind of the different kind of echoes of what the country, how where we are in a country, and what that says to about a family, about a criminal reaction or something like that. Like he has a long, well established history of saying something about this moment, and this movie doesn't say anything, and it's offensive, and the content is offensive, and it just exists as a monument to the weird time and place more than anything else. I look at it as just being like, what a weird time capsule,
Yeah.
and all the while hating it.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this was another rough one, like really rough, actually. Like, I know
Yeah.
it's like, okay, it's not always constructive when you're looking back on films of the past to describe them as dated, because obviously hindsight is 2020. And also, I think sometimes when you frame certain movies through the lens of what we know now, it can feel sort of unfair to judge in that way. But I feel like even at this time, this was seen not even in a good light either. And I think the few criticism I saw of it online was mostly mixed to negative. And I think the main issue, which is what I agree with a lot of those critics and with what you said too, is that like, even if you agree with the thesis of this film, you can just look at the structure of it and be like, okay, after 15 minutes, I get it. And then it just doesn't go anywhere with like deepening that message. And this whole experiment here with using almost the exact same dialogue, word for word in both storylines, I think is catastrophic for the movie.
Yes.
Like, it just calls so much attention to itself, and it's so distracting from the message that you're not even paying attention. You're thinking about it more as like a verbal exercise more than what they're actually saying.
Yeah, it's one of those, you can tell Fontana does TV because it feels like a TV trick episode.
Yeah.
It's the musical episode of this show, or it's the oh, we're gonna do improv in this one. It's we're gonna try a trick, or this one's gonna be in black and white, or whatever it is. It's the special episode of whatever. And like you said, about 15 minutes in, you went, "Oh, cool. This is what they're doing."
Yeah.
And after that, you're like, "Okay, so like
Go
it's
on.
I guess this is a thing that's happening, but
Yep.
what does it need to happen? Why is this continuing to happen?"
Yep.
And it just gets continually grosser. Like
Yeah.
I kept thinking the whole time. I was like, okay, well, Fontana, Oz's entire thing. I keep going back to Fontana. I put way more of this on him than I do on Lumet for some reason.
Yeah. No,
But
it's true.
I look at it and it's like, whenever you watch Oz, you would see like somebody be naked. And you're like, oh, okay, glance of nudity. And you're like, oh, they're not going to be not naked for a while. They're going to stay naked. Cool. Okay. This is going to be a thing. And you see that it just I guess it's the provocateur of it all, kind of the way to be like, oh, look at how my art is. It's kind of like a television version of Lars von Trier. Like you're just like, okay, like
Yeah, I
this.
get it.
I see what you're doing,
Yeah.
but I don't have to be enjoying it. And the not enjoying it is something that Fontana seems to revel in. And Gyllenhaal is so wide open as an actress that this performance is. I was like, man, she is really doing something in this, but it's all for naught at the end of the day. She is going the level she is taking this character is so much better than anything this film has any desire or the capability of reaching.
Yeah.
And that dissonance between how far and how open that character is and how the film portrays her. I was like, it doesn't feel like I should be watching it. It's like a snuff film. I was like, stop this. I don't want to see it. And I know it's supposed to provoke that reaction, but I'm also supposed to be interested.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want to be watching this
And it is redundant ultimately. So,
completely.
yeah.
Yes.
I think this screenplay could have made this point so much more effectively if, let's just say, the structure of both storylines was the same. Let's say it both begins with an innocent person or someone we presume to be an innocent person being snatched up and interrogated, and it escalates to the point where they're both strip searched. But you just write the dialogue differently. Like, it's such an easy fix. And I also
Yeah.
just think, culturally speaking, not to paint with too broad a brush, I guess, as this movie does, but culturally, there are going to be differences with even basic things like syntax, with how like these interrogations play out. It's not going to be almost exactly the same in both countries. Like the end result could be the same, but just having them both play out without any variation, it just completely halts any momentum or investment. And I'm just, again, thinking about the screenplay and how they adapt the same words to different settings more than I'm thinking about any of the ideas here. And I also just
Yeah.
think, frankly, the characters are, because of this setup, basically just mouthpieces for
Yeah.
this, for me, what amounts to an acting exercise. Like, they're not really flesh and
Yeah.
blood people. They are
Yeah.
actors in a play, or honestly, if you want to take it there, they are actors in a PSA, just
Yeah.
intended to preach a lesson about where America could go if we're not careful. They might just become communist China. It just, it doesn't play. It really doesn't play.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like you said, putting yourself back in that period, and it's like of all the countries we were threatening to become, I don't think communist China was on the list. Like
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, it kind of like adding China in there is
Yeah.
like, well, why China? Like
I was
of all the choices, why China? Like
I was
it
really
does,
trying to dig for like the source for this idea from Tom Fontana, but again, could
yeah.
not find anything.
I mean, there's morsels of I try to think to myself, is there a way that you could have had the same dialogue? Let's say you have the same dialogue for both, and you establish this, but at the same time, you don't just have the same words coming out that you just heard. Like there's a way to
Right.
edit it in a way where it could come through as much more captivating, at least to the viewer, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to it's like, well, this is the words he's going to say, and at the same time, it's like, well, Glenn Close said girlfriend, and they go, it's like, oh, girlfriend. Okay, Maggie Gyllenhaal's a lesbian. Means nothing, but it's
Yep.
okay, cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do we glean from this? It's like, and then whenever when King Leong says about the awesome body or like your body's great and you work out really well. I'm like, okay, that's kind of coming across as creepy. And then
Yep.
they have Glenn Close say it and it doesn't come across as creepy. And I'm like, what's the point of that? Like, are they trying to say he's creepy and she's and then it parallels with like she confesses he doesn't and she, I guess, is done and he is going to get tortured.
Yeah.
What does it all mean? What's the point?
It's empty provocation.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to
Yes.
find answers to your questions here,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I did what I could find. I read some of the comments from Sidney Lumet and the one morsel I could get from Tom Fontana about this.
Mm.
And they just, I hate to say it, but they just seem so self-satisfied with
Oh.
their quotes for this. Like Sidney Lumet was told TV Guide, "This movie is going to raise holy hell and I may never work again." And Tom
Oh
Fontana says,
man.
"Am I saying we're a totalitarian country? No. Am I saying we could become one? Absolutely." It's just,
It's
it's a little exhausting. It's a little bit of like an Adam McKay situation for me of
yeah,
just,
yeah. Oh,
you
what a
know,
perfect parallel
you
where
know,
it's I'm right, these idiots are wrong, and what
hmm
I'm saying is the correct way of saying it. And
yeah,
if you don't like it, that's a problem with you.
yeah,
And I have no tolerance for that kind of
hate it. Yeah,
yeah, no tolerance because it's it's self-satisfying in the most annoying possible way. It's oh man, this government, man, we should do something about this. It's like what do you mean we should do something like do what? Like
yeah,
there's no solution. You're just and not only that, this is a manufactured idea. I'm not saying
hmm
that all these things didn't happen. Like you have something like rendition
uh,
which came around the coming this is man you want to talk about a double feature like now that movie at least has some morsels of interesting and people are do better types of choices of what they're making and this is like this isn't just empty and it's not as gross I guess
right.
but it's just nothing less than nothing to say it's just oh man these people are it's the equivalent of a 13-year-old going, it's like, man, this president's really messing up. It's like you're 13. Like this is
Yeah,
actually this is my Green Day problem. It's always
mm,
been the we don't like the president, we don't like this that's happening, and it's like, okay, Green Day, why are you telling like, oh, what am I supposed to learn from this? Like, you're just guys. Your hit album was called Dookie. I'm not saying you're not allowed to
yeah,
shift. I'm not
right.
saying you're not allowed to shift. It's just it's freshman political science levels of commentary.
Yeah.
There's nothing actually to be gleaned from what is actually happening.
I mean, that was my thought as well. Is just, well, my comparison here is like it's just these guys in freshman year in their dorm room smoking a doobie and just being like, man, this America is gonna become like communist China if you really think about it. You know what I mean? Like
If
it's so
if
fucked
you
up.
if you really think about it, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Is the really the morsel for most of these types of pieces. You're just like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's
Just
like,
like open your
hey,
eyes, you know?
all right, sheeple, let's do this. And it's like
Now we
we're
said it.
gonna, yes, yeah, yeah. It's people who think they're doing high art. It's the Milos Forman, Natalie Portman of why are you acting like this is a bad movie? This is a good movie. It's like,
Mm,
well,
yeah.
are we? Because nobody's half-assing the roles, and it's
hmm
like it's actually it's kind of the exact opposite of what Brush with Fate is doing. It's like everybody in this is totally committed and going for it,
Yep.
and really trying to make something happen and deliver with what is being asked. Unfortunately, what is being asked is asinine.
Yep.
So it never gets anywhere, no matter how hard they try.
Well, having said all this, I do think Glenn is better here than she is in Brush with Fate.
Yes,
Just by
yes,
comparison, I think this is much more in the pocket of where her strengths lie. Maybe she didn't do much preparation work, as you kind of were implying as well, compared to Brush with Fate. She just maybe kind of walked in and said her lines and walked off 2 days later. But
yeah,
she has that like uncompromising, like I said, tough as nails energy, and she's proving she can be even tougher than the men around her. There is also a slight sort of even like a smug quality to her and like a
Yeah.
meanness that I think
Yeah.
she really nails and is so specifically American arrogance that I
Yes.
think she taps into really well. She,
Yes.
to me, is at least one of the MVPs of a severely flawed movie with how
Yes.
she takes this character and is definitely treating it more like a piece of live theater. Like she is showing how almost in like this Nurse Ratched sort of way, she likes
Yeah.
the power that this gives her. And she's had to like what you can assume years of experience of doing this. And she has all these little tricks and techniques she uses, she knows usually works. And just the way she speaks to him is so dehumanizing,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
obviously the
Yeah.
intended effect. And as we know, Glenn is not afraid of being disliked on screen if it serves the character, and she can be incredibly fierce, incredibly stubborn, and hard nosed, and just so committed to the character. And I do think she comes out of this relatively unscathed with what
Yeah.
she's asked of.
Yeah. And I look at it as, this is right before the shield and damages. And
Yep.
it kind of you see the through line right towards it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
Direct line. Yeah.
direct. And I thought to myself, is like, was she filming damages? Took a few days off, kept her wardrobe, showed up, and just
Not
started.
quite
Just
yet.
not there. They didn't
Maybe
didn't
the
really sync up.
shields, but not
But
damages.
maybe yeah.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
it was definitely one of those things where you see what she's doing, and I really like you were talking about a theater piece. The thing that Glenn does really well, and one of the things I always find really interesting about her, is tailor her performance for what she is doing. Like she is, if she is doing theater, she is more than happy to do theater and
Mm-hmm.
and be big and be loud. But she is also able to tailor her personality and her performance for, okay, this is a camera, there are microphones, things are being picked up.
Yeah.
She barely registers above a whisper in this movie. She's very measured, very understated,
Mm-hmm.
and not to talk down to Ken Long's performance, but having them be the two to go against it. She's as good as she is. She makes Long look worse just because it's like, well, what she's doing seems really effective. It's like what he's doing seems less effective, even
Mm-hmm.
though, but at the same time, it's apples and oranges. It's not it's hard to having them have the same dialogue is insane because
Yeah.
it makes you compare the two performances. Like these are
Yeah.
not two of the same. They're not doing the same things. It's unfair to him for it's like you certainly for a fact they did not watch each other's performances and base it off each other because that would have been even a worse disaster. But yeah, what she does, she comes in and the smugness you said is really
Yeah.
interesting. And having Dean Winters as the guy outside the
Of
master of
course.
smug, the
Right?
master of smug. So I mean, and him talking to the consulate guy or whatever, and it's just all of it come like the authoritarian aspects of it and her little anguish at the end. I was like, well, there's a little morsel of interesting. It's like,
Yep.
but it was all it's all for naught, unfortunately. I do appreciate what she does.
Hmm.
Just I wish it was in something better.
Yeah. Definitely wishes it was in service of something that deserved her.
Yes, yes,
Which is sadly something that continues to be a problem around this point in her career until she gets the shield and damages. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, we're almost there. She even has a bit of a haircut that is similar to what she would have in the shield and damages. So
yeah, yeah,
like you said, really kind of like evolving to that point. But she gets these little moments that I wrote down in her dialogue, even though it is directly the same as Ken Leung's. Just whenever he tells Maggie Gyllenhaal, like describing her as handsome or maybe pretty is the
yeah.
right word, something like that. And then when she does it, she looks at his passport and she's like, oh, look at him and you're handsome, and gives a little like mocking sort of like kissy face to him
Pretty.
before
Yeah,
she
yeah,
says,
yeah.
or pretty. Yes, which is so patronizing, but also
Totally.
like I said, she's like delighting in this power trip that it's giving her, which is compelling to watch. Even
Yeah,
though it
yeah,
makes her feel more monstrous, it's
yeah.
something.
And whenever like she grabs his whenever he touches her or acts like she's gonna touch her or whatever, and then like claps her arms like, okay, good for you,
Yeah.
Glenn. Like,
Yeah.
good, you're doing something. Like, you're not meant to be the non-physically imposing person in this room, and the imposing it whenever a man is interrogating a woman, you feel like an immediate danger with it. On the flip side, it's almost disarming, and you're just like, but Glenn is one of the least disarming people in the world in this film. She's just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna here to ruin your day, and
Mm-hmm.
and that experience is really well worn on her as somebody who's like,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a while, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
good at it. So,
Yeah.
and we have systems and all these things in place, and like even her like the way she draws the blinds, like just the measurement of it all. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like, yeah, I see what's going on here. And I
Mm-hmm.
like this idea of what is being hatched here. It's just in the service of whatever this is.
Yeah.
And even like the fit back to the crappy back and forth, but I mean the physical strip search is
Yeah.
so dehumanizing for Maggie Gyllenhaal. And Kim Leung is going for it too.
Oh
It's not
yeah.
like okay, it's like oh, I'm gonna pat down here and there. It's like nope, you're going all the way in. Cool, cool, cool. But Glenn on the flip side is much more like implying this is going to be like this, as opposed to the action.
Yeah.
And I'm always interested whenever actors find little morsels of things that probably aren't on the page. It's like I take that little bit of what that word means and extrapolate that out into how I could make the character feel about with still delivering these words. And I think Glenn is really good at doing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, imposing against that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's even a scene where she is, I think it's Dean Winters, like, comes in and is, like, kind of insisting to her, like, we only got 24 hours to do this here. And she seems, just based on her body language, that she's a little bit annoyed to maybe be dealing with this guy who is either her equal or her boss. I don't
Yeah.
really know, telling
Yeah.
her kind of like how to do her job. He is, of course, younger than her. I feel like you're sensing a little bit of that frustration from her that, is like being a woman in this position. This guy probably would not speak to a man like this, that sort of thing. And then, yeah, when they're doing the strip search, it's almost verging on sensual at times, what she's
Yeah.
doing to him
Yeah.
as she stands behind him as he is nude in front of her and saying, like, asking if he's ever been married or if he likes girls, and taunting like what would happen if she touched him down there. It's really gross and kind of
Yeah.
insidious, and it's
Hmm.
also in the way that she is speaking, to your point, so calmly and almost like a whisper that is more menacing in a way that it's like, this is such a strange comparison, but it's what's coming to mind. But Meryl in The Devil Wears Prada, in the sense of
Yeah.
like, she
Yeah.
is barely registering, like, she's not raising her voice. She is just so efficient and calm. But what she is saying is like, there's so much loaded in there that,
Yes.
she's finding some layers in this deeply flawed script.
And I think that side of the film is much more effective as far as what it's delivering. As
Yeah.
far as between Glenn, between like the American side of it, and then what Lastra's doing, which pretty very well done on his side.
Yeah.
That all that back and forth, that is really interesting. All the My entire problem with the film is the compare contrast and how awful I feel every time I go back to Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Because every time I go back there, I'm like, skin crawl. And every time I go back to Glenn, I'm just like, okay, there's this is kind of the what we're doing with the measure of it all. And of course, again, male directors like Lasher is naked, but he is not lingered upon.
Right.
And Gyllenhaal is very much lingered
Yeah,
upon.
we get these
And
occasional full frontal nudity shots of him, But like for Maggie Gyllenhaal, it's like for the last half of the movie, it's just like almost full body shots several times.
There's a specific scene that did not need to be in there, like did not need to be framed this way, where her butt and her lower back is framed
Yeah.
with Ken Leung in the front, in the foreground, doing all this stuff. I'm like, it didn't have to be framed this way. It's like this
Hmm.
is. I get, oh, you feel so bad and all this kind of stuff, and you're trying to evoke a feeling of American woman, evoke these feelings like cool. Same thing. You've established this. You don't need to keep doing it. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be reiterated upon over and over and over in order to make the point. The point is very effectively made. Even when they give a shirt back, it's ripped to all hell. And you're like, this is not doing anything to make it better. He's left the room. The interrogation's done. She's still naked. She still lingered. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
come on. Like
Hmm.
a very committed Maggie Gyllenhaal who is willing to do this and willing to be objectified like this, but it is not something I want to be seeing.
Yeah.
And nobody, I can't imagine like being titillated by this. I cannot imagine a world where anybody would be titillated by what is happening. It's
Hmm.
the least titillating thing I could imagine.
Yep. Very gross.
Gross.
Very
Gross.
gross.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the only other scene I wanted to talk about for Glenn, though, is when she has this monologue about having a child, a son, and wants him to live in a world where he feels safe. And I think what's fascinating to me is that I feel like she doesn't really let anything slip in that moment. She doesn't soften when she says this. She doesn't try to make it like this vulnerable moment that is sort of predictable from these kinds of stories. For me, it still feels a little bit like a tactic, which I think is a smart instinct. And another comparison point is like Network with Faye Dunaway,
Hmm.
where, like, speaking of Sidney Lumet, the idea of like, should we have this soften moment for the Diana Christensen character? But no, she is just kind of laser focused on what she's here to do, and that's kind of it.
You
And
don't let the
so,
mask slip. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I think
Eh,
even when she is kind of speaking a little bit to why she is so driven to this, it doesn't feel like she is like, I don't know. For me, it didn't feel like she is vulnerable in that moment. It feels like this is just kind of how she justifies why she can torture these people like this.
Yeah, yeah, and I do agree. It's she doesn't let the mask slip till the very end of the film, where the only
Yes.
one who sees it is the audience. Nobody is actually around in order to see it.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
hear Sharif screaming in terror and pain
yes,
as after she
yes,
leaves. Yeah, and she kind
and
of stops for a beat.
yeah, and then keeps going. But
Yeah.
it's you can tell it's not one. And it's all obviously juxtaposed with this Austin Pendleton character, the English professor or the history
Yeah.
professor, whoever. It's like, would you, if America be safe, could you give up your liberties for a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever,
A
and
lifetime.
a lifetime? And you're just like,
Yes.
okay, well, that also didn't need to be in there. That didn't.
No.
It's like I think the point would have been made without that character, and that is much more interesting of a justification for why this is going on and kind of the banality of evil. It's like, well,
Yeah.
and you can say it's like, oh, well, she's an evil character or whatever, or a bureaucrat or whatever you want to say about it. That's not the film is not interested in that. The film is not interested in actually adjudicating anything she does. It's like she is in there to do a job, and if she's not doing it, somebody else will be doing it as well. It's much more of a comment on where our country is and what they're doing. So her actual justification is not really that important, even though that little sprinkle in is
Yeah.
gives a little color to her character.
Right. Yeah. I found myself trying to grab onto these tiny little morsels of making this story more interesting than it actually is.
Yep.
For me, it just does feel like, I already said it, but empty provocation that is kind of sound and fury signifying nothing, sadly. I just am like, sure, it's a time capsule of how toxic and disgusting and, grimy those years were, but what else?
That's pretty much it. I mean,
Yeah.
and how many lives were saved post 9/11 compared to how many were killed and all that kind of, and you can
Yeah.
go in and out for all that, and there's not a good answer for that because it was such chaos running on the stream of, emotion.
Yep.
The entire idea of why we went to war in any sort of case was just the fact that it's like everybody wanted it. The emotions were high. Everybody was jazzed to go to war just because 9/11 was this such visceral thing. And now we live in a world where people weren't alive. I can have intelligent conversations with people who do not remember 9/11, and it's not something that I think we'll ever be able to look back on and say, "Oh, this is." It's like kind of now how we're reconciling with all the issues and bullshit that Ronald Reagan put us through, and now we can
Yeah.
look back and go, "Oh man, we should have made some different choices." And now we're essentially going to be doing the same thing in the next 10 years about the early 2000s and all those decisions that the country had made. As a result, the Patriot Act, Freedom of Information Act, all that kind of stuff. You will see the morsels then, but we just don't have enough time away from it yet to be like, oh, this is the justification. We left Iraq how many years ago? Not enough for it to not make a difference.
Right.
So it's going to be we still have enough hindsight to truly grasp how fucked up those years were, because they were really messed up.
Yeah. They really were. And this did not help to unpack any of those
Nope,
emotions, even
did
when they
not.
were filmed at the time. But look, makes sense on the page to want for Glenn and others here to like be interested in this kind of topical, provocative story that is made with the intention of changing some minds. I don't know how many minds were changed for watching this. To be frank, I don't even know how many people actually watched it. So it's kind of
Yep.
tough, but we'll talk more about that with the release of these two
Yeah.
movies. But unless you have anything else, we can go ahead and talk about that.
Yes, let's do that.
All right. So starting with Brush with Fate, this movie aired on CBS as part of the Hallmark Hall of Fame series on Sunday, February 2nd, 2003. We're going to do more TV ratings talk, just like I did last week with Will and Grace and The West Wing. So strap in for that. It aired at 8 Central on CBS after a new episode of Becker and a
Ah,
repeat of Everybody Loves Raymond. But believe it or not, it did pretty well in the ratings, but it was third in its time slot. It got 11.5 million viewers, beating out a new episode of Alias on ABC, but it was behind Malcolm in the Middle on Fox and Law and Order Criminal Intent on NBC. So that was kind of the lay of the land. Oh, also, I did want to note that night was also American Dreams. I don't know if you remember that show or if you're a big
uh,
TV guy, but
when you say American Dreams, I only think of the Whites Brothers movie, American Dreams,
right,
with Hugh
not with a
Grant.
Z.
So not
It's
with a
with an
Z.
S.
Okay, so no, I don't know that one.
This was an NBC show kind of set in the era of American Bandstand,
Okay.
and it was about a family living through the turbulent 60s. It had Brittany Snow in it. Anyway, I used to watch that all the time with my mom. Just seeing that on the schedule, I'm just like, I was probably watching American Dreams on that specific night in 2003 and not Brush with Fate.
The funniest thing about Brush with Fate getting 11 million people eyes on it, in this last week, if it would have gotten 11 million people, it would have been the seventh highest thing watched this last week, behind Olympics and Super Bowl stuff.
I
So,
mean,
I mean, the television landscape, they always talk about this. They talk about like
yeah,
these shows you don't remember. Like I fondly remember like Caroline in the City, and that's not
sure.
really like it's not really well known. But I look back on the ratings and they're like, yeah, 35 million people a week watch Caroline in the City. I'm like,
Yeah.
35 million? That's
United the
insane.
country. Yeah.
Yes, it's like, oh man, I gotta get home to watch Suddenly Susan, and
Yep.
so these type of things. So it's it the
Monoculture. Yeah,
Yeah, the scope of television and the idea of a television movie in general is just not a thing anymore.
right. So the movie did not get any Emmy nominations. The only recognition it did get was from the American Society of Cinematographers,
Hmm.
which nominated Eric Van Haren Noman in Outstanding Achievement in Cinematography in Movies of the Week / Pilot parentheses Network.
This is this is like the Grammys. Whenever
Yes.
you're scrolling down, you're like, okay, that's a fun
Mm-hmm.
category. Never heard of that one. Let's go. It's like, okay. The Emmys do this too. Way down at the bottom of the
Yep.
list, there's a thousands like single camera or
Right.
multi-camera or yeah. So yeah.
Parentheses half hour.
Yep.
Parentheses 1
Yep.
hour. Yeah.
Yep.
And I know you want to know what won that award, Ben. I know you're so
Oh,
curious.
oh my
It
gosh.
was not Brushed with Fate.
Oh,
So
please. What did win?
it went to Hitler, The Rise of Evil. So there you go. It had to do with
Oh
Nazis
man.
after all. I guess
Yeah,
that was 2003.
we've come
But
full circle.
right? Yeah.
It's so funny because I just, there are podcasts hosted by friends of ours dedicated to television movies. But I mean,
Yes.
it's really hard to grasp how important some of these things used to be. I remember as a kid watching the Jonestown one. I think Rip
Mm-hmm.
Torn
Yep.
was the actor in that one, and I was just like horrified. I was like, it was like TV movies used to be a big deal. Now
Yep.
a TV movie is considered like Rebel Ridge is considered a TV movie, or Prey was I think a
Yep.
TV movie because they debuted on Hulu or something like that. So
Sure. Yeah.
we've really lost something in this country.
We've lost our way, and I'm here to tell you. Like,
Yeah,
and now,
yeah.
well, honestly, now what would be TV movies are now limited series,
Yeah, yeah.
stretched out
Which,
to 8 episodes,
yeah,
which maybe
or
Brush with Fate should have been that. Maybe that's what it should have been. It would have been one story per episode, all connected by painting.
can you imagine 6 30-minute episodes of this thing? Because I don't want to.
I'm imagining 6 1-hour episodes of this thing.
Wait, you want to talk about thin, and you're just like, you know what? The
Yep.
Kelly McDonald episode was nice. It's like,
Yeah, that's
man,
pretty good.
they're still on the potato seeds. Oh,
I
jeez.
don't care about potatoes. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Any thoughts on why it didn't really connect? Like, it didn't really get good reviews either. Got solid ratings, like I said, but it wasn't really wasn't Sarah Pointon tall by any means, and wasn't really an Emmy favorite or like an
Yeah.
audience favorite. So, what happened here is my question.
I think there's just nothing to cling on to. I mean,
Yeah.
there needs to be something, even like the Hallmark movie of the week. It has to have something. It has to
Yeah.
have some memorable aspect to it, and this just does not have any memorable aspect to it. Outside of like the visual of Glenn and her glasses and her bowl cut, and you're just kind of like, okay, well, that's something. But then you watch the movie, and for long stretches, you forget that Glenn's in the film.
Yeah.
So you have to have some sort of hook, and there's just no hook.
That's exactly what I said. That there's no central engine for me that's kind of driving it forward. And so yeah, I'm even a little bit perplexed as to why Hallmark would kind of like take to this story. Like it treads into some dark territory in a way that they usually don't. So seems like an odd choice for them. But
Yeah, they have a tendency to be a little more wholesome or
yeah,
more obvious.
right.
And this even one, it was not even obvious. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like, okay, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
But if anyone were to get nominated for the film, it would be Kelly MacDonald. But at the same time, I just don't think these kinds of movies were really in style anymore. And the concept, I think, was just a little too odd, maybe, for people to get on board with. So, yeah, fell
Yeah,
through the cracks.
I agree.
All right. Well, for Strip Search, that aired on HBO on April 27th, 2004. I could not find any ratings information for this because HBO doesn't usually do that, but
Hmm.
I would assume it wasn't really a hit. Worth noting, this aired on a Tuesday, so it wasn't even really
Sure.
HBO's like traditional Sunday programming. Like they do a lot of their TV movies on Sunday, so might have just wanted to sort of burn this off. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
have seen a few sources say that HBO pulled future airings, possibly because it wasn't well received, or maybe more likely it wasn't well watched.
sure. And HBO was kind of on a hot streak at this point
Yeah,
because I mean, you're in the thick of The Sopranos and Curb Your Enthusiasm
right.
and Sex and the City. So I mean, it's like they're kind of a hit machine at this point. Also, this is the same year like they do make very good television movies. Something the
Yep.
Lord made, very good. And starring Pancho Villas himself, all very good. Like there are,
Iron Jawed Angels. They had
yeah,
Angels in America that same
Angels and Mirrors come,
TV
yeah,
season. Yeah.
yep, yeah. And so you see those type of things, and you're like, okay, well, if we platform this too much, we'll show people how crappy some of our product is. So let's just show. It's like like I said, kind of bury it on a Tuesday, and there's like, okay, well, then we'll move on. And
Yeah.
maybe they didn't realize that Maggie Gyllenhaal, like somebody else is doing a Maggie Gyllenhaal podcast, and will eventually stumble upon this,
Hmm.
and and those are the only two intersections of people who are seeking out this film. Or
Yeah.
like I'm sure you can make a post 9/11 podcast. That sounds awful.
Wow.
Post
Would not listen,
I
but
wouldn't listen either. But yeah. So there's
like
just
HBO movies or
HBO
HBO
movies. Yeah, yeah,
programming,
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
It's
Whatever.
not something that's I don't know anybody who had seen this.
No,
And
me
I don't
neither.
know besides you who had seen this either. And I certainly don't know anybody who has any high regard for it.
And I
So,
don't know anyone who's going to seek it out after we just talked about it.
nope.
So,
I don't encourage you to.
I mean, if you really don't have anything to do, it is an hour
It is an
long.
hour.
So,
It's
you
not
need it.
long.
I would
I
recommend other ways to pass your time than this, but
I also watched this on my lunch break at work, and so I
ah,
was at my desk
wow.
covering it up because I'm like, there's far too much
Good
Maggie
lord.
Gyllenhaal nudity. I'm just like, oh man, it's like somebody's gonna walk
Bro, what are
by.
you watching?
Exactly. I was like, dude. It's like, oh, they went back. Oh no, yeah. So I don't advise that either. So
I swear it's for an assignment.
I'm not just doing it to do it. Okay, I just like I
Right.
got homework. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask why you think it didn't connect, but I would just say, see our previous discussion.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I just
And
also, I feel like people were not in the mood to like directly watch things that were already in the news at that
yeah.
time.
I mean, Abu Ghraib in general is like something where people are very have a very visceral reaction to it, but it's not like so many people are like seeking it out. It's not like
Right.
something people want to see. They don't like being told their country sucks and does bad things. So having to deal with that head on in such a gross way is probably not something people are going to connect to. I can't imagine anybody watching this and being like, "Oh, that was really powerful. I'm going to tell all my friends at work to watch this." It's not something
Yeah.
you're going to want to rewatch. So, I mean, that makes sense.
So you're telling me you did not do that directly after watching on your lunch break? Bro, you
No.
got to watch this strip search. Like it's so like it totally opened my mind.
The in reality, I was talking to my wife and said, "Let me tell you this shit that I saw today," and and she goes, "You watch the weirdest stuff." I was like, "I know, but you know, it's the
Yeah.
nature of the beast. You have to.
Hmm.
This is what we have to go through in order to bring you quality content like this."
Yes. You're welcome.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yes. Okay, well, let's get to our last segment where we're going to rate Glenn's performances on a very specific scale. So, first, thinking about her performance as Cornelia Engelbrecht, would you say that she is ready for her close up, which is to say, one of her best performances? Is it low Glenergy, not one of your faves? Close but no cigar, somewhere in the middle? Or we, of course, now have secret fourth and fifth categories since you were last on. We have serving in silence, which is to say, delivering a great supporting performance, or Glennicent, meaning she is good, but the project not so much.
Uh, uh, Local energy, I believe, is the resounding answer for this.
Okay.
Just trying, but not getting there.
Sadly, I will have to agree. This is a rare low energy for me. I don't think it's a successful performance. I see her intention with it, but I think it just is a little too distracting for what the film is trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
appreciate the efforts regardless.
Yep. Yep.
So for Karen Moore in Strip Search, what do you say for that one?
Okay, this one I'm going to say Glynnison because
Okay.
I do not think she is at fault for what the film has problems with.
Mm-hmm.
She is doing what she does best in this film. What she her prickliness, her measured capacity, her menace, that all comes through awesomely. Any problems I have is not with her.
Well, not to be a copycat, but Glennicent for me.
Yep.
Yeah. I think she is, yeah, completely, I guess, completely innocent for me of the film's many flaws
Yep.
and is just right on the money for what Tom Fontana is wanting of this, what Sidney Lumet is wanting. And I just wish, like, okay, I don't want to go on a whole other thing, but like, she worked with James Ivory on Le Divorce. I love James Ivory. That is not a good movie. She works with Sidney Lumet here. Strip Search is not a good movie. She's working with these great auteurs. I just wish the projects were better. You know?
Yeah, if you think of like, oh man, what is she in Running on Empty instead of Christine Lottie? You're just like, oh man, I
God
love
damn
the
it.
idea. Exactly. I'm sorry. I am nailing this. See, this is your own fault because you got me into this mode with your recast the Oscar nominees, and so I've been in this mode for the last couple weeks. So
Ugh.
yeah, the idea of her being in something like that where she gets to be emotional and a little bit mischievous and stuff like that. I would love to have her in something like that. And I'm sure there's a bevy of James Ivory stuff that she could throw in.
Yeah,
Any of the roles in Room with a View, or I mean, the Judi Dench role in Room with a View, that'd be really great.
sure.
Or yeah, I
Be
mean,
fun.
so yeah, yeah,
What if she was
exactly.
with Anthony Hopkins in The Remains of the Day?
Yeah.
How
Now you're
about
now,
that?
now you're cooking with
Alternative history.
fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, now I'm pissed off. But
sorry,
think of
sorry.
all the potential. But
Yes, I
yes,
know. I know.
you know, Ben, thank you so much for putting in the work here.
Oh, it's
And
my pleasure.
I hope this helped you decompress from these two movies that I assigned to you this week. So thank you. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough.
Oh, it's not hard knowing that I was going to get to the plus of it is, yeah, these movies aren't good, but I knew I was going to get to talk to you about this. I was like, okay, we can share in like it was going to be a problem if I go to Strip Search and I log it on Letterboxd and you loved it. I was like, okay, this is good, but
4.5 stars and a heart.
oh, yes, yeah. I was like, oh man, I'm glad we're in that same boat at least. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
so we can commiserate over the fact that these are not good movies, and worse things to do in the world, I guess, than talk about
I think so.
movies.
Well, where can people find more of you on the internet if you wish for them to find you?
Oh, you can find me on all the social medias at nebisbin, Twitter, Blue Sky, Letterboxd. My Instagram is neb.isbin, same stuff as all the other ones, plus all my links and reviews. On my site, icecream4freaks.com, you can find all my podcast appearances on there as well. I write for Film Experience, In Session, Cinema Scholars, all over the place, trying to diversify as much as I can. And find me guesting on other pods. I'm the David Thulis of podcasting.
That's right. One of the best character actors.
Yes, that's
So,
right.
one of the best guests.
I appreciate it.
So there you go. Well, thank you all so much for listening. You can find me at Kevin_Jacobsen on Twitter and Instagram, just Kevin Jacobsen, no underscore on Blue Sky. You can also listen to my Oscar-themed podcast, And the Runner-Up Is, for coverage of every single Best Actress race, including one with Ben here, which was really fun, on 2003. Speaking of 2003, right? That's And the Runner-Up Is on all platforms, and keep up with the world according to Glenn on social. Follow the Glenn Pod. Rate, review, and follow if you haven't already. And with that, I bid you all adieu.